In every Roman legion, there was a symbol that represented the soul of the empire. The golden eagle, carried by the Aquilifer. This man, chosen from among the bravest, not only led, but was the guardian of Rome's heart amid the chaos of battle. But what happened to those who, at the twilight of the empire, carried the eagle one last time? You might imagine that with the fall of Rome, the honor of carrying the eagle vanished along with it. But what if I told you that the last Aquilifers played a crucial role in the battles that marked the decline and ruin of the empire? They were there, at the height of glory and in the depths of destruction. Today, you will discover who these last men were, the guardians of a symbol that represented all of Rome's greatness. Get ready for a journey through the final battles of the empire, where the fate of the eagle was intertwined with the fate of Rome. What you are about to see is the story of those who bore the glory and the weight of a falling empire. Amidst the Roman legions, one symbol stood out above all: the golden eagle. This emblem, known as the Aquila, was not just an ornament. It was the embodiment of Rome's strength, glory, and immortality. The eagle not only inspired the soldiers, but also represented the very essence of Roman military power. Carrying the Aquila into battle was a privilege reserved for the bravest of warriors, the Aquilifer, a soldier who, above all others, demonstrated unwavering loyalty to the empire. The choice of the Aquilifer was not random. He was not merely a leader, but the protector of one of the most sacred symbols of the Roman army. The responsibility of keeping the eagle safe, even in the most desperate situations, fell entirely on his shoulders. A legion without its eagle was a legion without honor. Losing the eagle in battle meant not just military defeat, but total humiliation. This responsibility placed the Aquilifer in the spotlight, making him a coveted target for enemies who understood the devastating impact that capturing or destroying the Aquila could have on Roman morale. The eagle, made of gold or silver, was an object of veneration among the soldiers, and the figure of the Aquilifer was viewed almost as a priest, someone who safeguarded the spirit of the legion. In many situations, the fate of the legion was intertwined with the fate of the eagle, and enemies would do anything to seize it, knowing that this could mean the collapse of an entire military unit. Every battle carried this imminent risk, and the Aquilifer had to fight with a ferocity that surpassed that of any other soldier, always keeping his attention split between defending the Aquila and the fight itself. Throughout Rome's history, the eagle became synonymous with absolute power and invincibility. It was a symbol that accompanied the legions not only on the battlefields, but also in ceremonies and triumphal parades. The image of the Aquila swept through conquered cities, raised in triumph, reminding everyone that Rome was unbeatable. However, over time, as the empire expanded and faced internal and external challenges, the burden of carrying the eagle grew heavier. For the last Aquilifers, the symbol that once represented Rome's eternal glory began to reflect an empire on the brink of collapse. As the empire approached its decline, the eagle, once a symbol of invincible power, began to serve as a bitter reminder of Rome's vulnerability. The Aquilifer, amid decay, saw himself as the last guardian of a disintegrating ideal. He carried not only the eagle, but also the weight of history and the burden of trying to maintain honor in a time of imminent ruin. And it is here that the story of these last men starts to take on a tragic contour as Rome crumbled before their eyes. The role of the Aquilifer was not a common task, and their selection from the ranks of the legion was done with extreme care. Only the most fearless and skilled soldiers received this honor. It was not enough to be an efficient warrior. The Aquilifer needed to demonstrate leadership and an uncommon ability to inspire his comrades. This soldier was chosen not only for his bravery, but for his capacity to maintain morale and cohesion among the troops, even in the darkest moments of battle. Carrying the eagle meant being the heart of the legion, and the weight of that title was as great as the object itself. In times of war, the Aquilifers were at the front lines, leading their comrades in a battle with the eagle held high. The mere sight of the golden standard shining in the sun fired up the spirits of the soldiers and spread fear among the enemies. The Aquilifer led with a mix of symbolic authority and practical command, his presence infusing a sense of invincibility into the legions. However, this role also made them prime targets for enemy armies. Capturing or killing the Aquilifer was a deadly blow to the morale of the Roman troops, making him a living symbol of both strength and vulnerability. Starting in the 3rd century, with the weakening of the Roman Empire's borders, the pressure on the Aquilifers grew even greater. They now faced not only traditional enemy armies, but also barbarian tribes who saw capturing the Aquila as an opportunity to destroy Roman pride. The constant threat of losing the eagle and staining the name of the legion pushed the Aquilifers to unprecedented levels of stress. Even amid the deterioration of the empire's political and military structures, these men maintained their commitment to the standard, knowing that their actions could define the fate of Rome in a single battle. The training of an Aquilifer was a rigorous process. They underwent intense training, learning both the art of war and the symbolic responsibility of carrying the standard. They were often close advisors to the commanders of the legions, and their influence extended beyond the military sphere. To the common soldier, the Aquilifer represented an almost mythological figure, one who could lead Rome to victory or failure. On the battlefield, his mere presence alongside the golden eagle served as a moral anchor, reminding the men of their greater mission to protect Rome at all costs. The rise of the last Aquilifers in the twilight of the empire was marked by a cruel paradox. Although they remained the symbolic leaders of the legions, the deterioration of central power and the disorganization of the armed forces weakened the empire's ability to defend itself properly. Thus, these brave men, who were meant to lead Rome to glory, found themselves fighting a losing battle. The borders were crumbling, the legions were being defeated, and the Aquilifers became witnesses to an inevitable tragedy, the fall of what was once the greatest empire in history. In the decisive battles that marked the twilight of the Roman Empire, the last Aquilifers were present as central figures amid the chaos. One of the most notable events was the Battle of Adrianople in 378 AD, where the Roman army suffered one of its most devastating defeats against the Goths. The Aquilifers of that campaign carried the responsibility of maintaining the cohesion of the legions at a time when Roman discipline was beginning to fragment. The impact of this battle was colossal, forever shaking confidence in the invincibility of the Roman army. However, Adrianople was just one of many battles in which the last Aquilifers had to contend with overwhelming forces. In the west, barbarian invasions ravaged the borders, leading to the Battle of the Catalonian Fields in 451 AD, where Roman general Flavius Aetius confronted Attila the Hun. Although this was one of the last great Roman victories, the pressure on the Aquilifers was palpable. The increasingly fearless and organized enemy knew that weakening the Aquilifer was the first step toward dismantling Roman morale. Nevertheless, these men continued to raise the Aquila, keeping alive the flame of an empire that was already in decline. The struggles continued, and in 455 AD, Rome faced another challenge with the sack of Rome by the Vandals. The Aquilifers who survived those turbulent years saw their role and honor tarnished by the invasion of their own capital. Still, they held the symbol of the eagle as a reminder of lost glory, even though the days of victories were behind them. This moment was a profound blow to the empire and a turning point in the lives of the Aquilifers, who were now fighting not for conquests, but for mere survival. Even when the Roman forces were already disorganized, as in the Battle of Carthage in 533 AD, the last Aquilifers continued to raise the eagle. But the reality of the situation was clear. The eagle that once symbolized the glory and universal dominion of Rome was now a faded reminder of an once invincible power. These men, already veterans of previous wars, were not only fighting against external invaders, but also against the internal decay of Rome. Their battles were no longer for territorial expansion, but for the mere attempt to keep the fragile structures of the empire standing. Each final battle, each desperate conflict, brought the Aquilifers closer to an inevitable end. They were there, holding the eagle firmly, as the legions fell around them and the once glorious empire collapsed. The eagle stood tall, even as the world around it crumbled. These last defenders of Roman honor lived a living tragedy, witnesses to the final glow of a Rome that would never return. As the 5th century progressed, the Roman Empire was dividing internally, and its legions, once feared and admired, had become shadows of their former selves. With the invasion of the Ostrogoths, Vandals, and other barbarian tribes, the number of victories dwindled, and with them, the honor of the Aquilifers began to fade. These men, who in earlier times led victorious armies, now found themselves amidst fragmented and directionless forces. The eagle, once a symbol of cohesion and discipline, was starting to lose its prestigious place on the battlefield. The definitive fall of Rome in 476 AD, marked by the deposition of the last Western emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was not a defeat on an epic battlefield, but the internal collapse of a system that could no longer sustain itself. In this context, the last Aquilifers fought a different kind of war, a war against total disintegration. The armies were disbanding, and with them, the prestige of the Aquila fell into the hands of the invaders. These men, who once carried the eagle with pride, now saw the symbol being stolen, destroyed, or lost forever, along with the spirit of Rome. Even in the face of a shattered empire, the Aquilifers attempted, with dignity, to uphold the legacy of the Roman legions. Some, as accounts from ancient sources indicate, tried to save the remaining eagles by hiding them to prevent them from falling into barbarian hands. Others fought until their last breath, hoping that a new Roman leadership would arise from the ashes and resurrect the empire. But this hope quickly faded as Rome, ravaged and looted, lost control of its territories. The legions that once marched proudly were now fragments of the past. The Roman military tradition, which had forged a colossal empire, was in ruins. The last Aquilifers, witnesses to the end, were powerless against the veracity of the invaders. The weight of carrying the Aquila, once a symbol of glory, had become an unbearable burden, representing an empire that no longer existed. With each defeat, the eagle lost its shine, until, finally, its historical relevance faded along with the empire it represented. Although the Aquila disappeared from the battlefields, the legacy of the Aquilifers and their symbol continued to resonate throughout history. The image of the eagle survived as a reminder of the power and majesty of Rome, inspiring future generations. However, for the last Aquilifers, the glory of the golden eagle had been lost, buried under the weight of the fall of an empire that once dominated the world. Even though the symbol perished, the spirit of the men who carried it until the end remains immortalized in the pages of history.